Hey guys, Weeby News here. So today I'm going to be going over my top 15 favorite characters of Danganronpa. And I know I said I'd do a top 5 trials video next, but it seemed like a lot of you guys are pretty interested in seeing this one, so I decided I'd go ahead and do it first. But as for my next countdown video, I will be doing that one, then maybe like a top executions or top depressing moments next. I haven't really decided yet. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I got a new banner, like channel art for my channel, and it was created by BaouZaker, and you guys can check out his Deviant Art if you want to. I'll post a link in the description for the video. There's also a link on my channel description as well if you guys want to look it up. And it's just so cute. I love it. I'm so excited about it. Thank you so much again for making it. But he has a lot of really good art, so I definitely recommend you guys check it out, and thank you again for it. But anyways, I do want to clarify that just because some characters aren't on this list, it doesn't mean that I don't like those characters. I think all the Danganronpa characters are extremely well written, and that was one of the things that made this list really hard to make. I tried to take into account the character development and the screen time of these characters, and that sort of was a way that I used to organize this list, but it's still pretty heavily influenced by my own personal opinions as well, so just keep that in mind when you're watching the video. But without further ado, let's get started. So number 15 of my top favorite characters is Sakura Ogami from Danganronpa 1. And the reason she's included in this list is because to me, she was one of the few characters that was just genuinely nice in Danganronpa 1 besides Asahina and Naegi. And the only reason she is lower on this list would be that I don't really have any solid reason to say why I like her so much, just other than my general opinion that I think she's smart, I think she's kind, I think she's funny. She was really fun to learn more about in the free time events, and she really helped out more in the trials, more so than some of the other characters. But other than that, I don't have a good her character development or anything super, I guess, intelligible to say as to why I like her. So that puts her at number 15. So number 14 is Sonya Nevermind, and the reason she's also in kind of the same lower level on this list is kind of the same as Ogami. She was definitely one of my favorite characters all throughout Super Danganronpa 2, but I don't really think I have another super intelligent reason for liking her. It really is just because she was so damn funny to me throughout the game. I honestly think some of the funniest quotes of the entire game were from her. Her conversation with Tera Tera at the beginning was a really funny moment. Her conversation with Tagami at the end, all the kind of random her just not understanding social skills was just so funny throughout the game that she made it very enjoyable to watch. Plus, she really helped you out in the trials, and besides Chiaki, she was one of the only characters I felt comfortable agreeing with most of the time. So number 13 is Chihiro Fujisaki, because Fujisaki I feel like is a very relatable character for a lot of people. And not only because he's smart and was responsible for a lot of big turning points in Danganronpa 1, his gender reveal was one of the biggest plot twists of the game, and his creation of alter ego was really one of the things that kept hope alive for a lot of the surviving students of Hope's Peak during the first game, and I really don't know if they would have been able to have beaten Junko without AI's information and help, so that really helped me build a bond with Fujisaki, and even though he sort of died fairly young into the game, I really felt learning more about AI and kind of learning more about Fujisaki's character through that, it made me connect with him more. So that's what puts him at number 13. So number 12 on this list is none other than the esteemed Byakuya Tagami, and I've always had sort of a love-hate relationship with this character. He's a huge dick to you the whole entire game, but I feel like his backstory is one of the most interesting to me, and he's probably one of the funniest characters in Danganronpa 1 without even seemingly trying to be. I want to say he's developed over the series into becoming lesser of an asshole, but I really don't think he has, at least externally. The way he acts, he sort of still treats Naegi he just thinks he's so much better, and same with the other characters. The way I think of him is sort of as the Vegeta of the game. He still acts like an anti-hero, his personality hasn't changed at all, but yet he just started hanging out with the heroes. He's just chilling out with them for some reason. It's I guess he does seem to want the greater good to win, since he mentions it when confronting Junko, but it seems he'll never stop making poor jokes and just acting better than everyone else, even when he does want the greater good. But I think this makes him, even if he's not necessarily likable in the sense that he's nice to you or helps you, he's just a very, very entertaining character. So number 11 on this list is Kazuichi Soda from Super Danganronpa 2, and the reason he is included in this list is because he is just such a funny and relatable character to me. I feel like most of us who play Danganronpa want to think that we'd be like Chiaki or Kirigiri, who is just like solving stuff left and right, like no sweat, like nothing really like taking him down, but the sad truth is that many of us would probably be a bit more like Kazuichi. Like, you bet if I had to learn that I was trapped somewhere and forced to kill my friends by like an evil kawaii desu teddy bear, I would be flipping my shit too. Plus, if you play his free time events, there's a lot more to his character than what is revealed in the main story. He's kind of seen more as like a gag character throughout the story, freaking out and being obsessively in love with Sonya, but I don't really want to go too much into depth in this video about his backstory. I think I did in my other video where I talked about the manga that's being made about him, but it's really interesting and it explains a lot about his character, and honestly I think it is probably some of the most interesting free time events of Super Danganronpa 2. Number 10 is Kiyotaka Ishimaru, and he is a character that I really felt like I bonded with in Danganronpa 1, and the reason for this is because he really stepped up as a leader from the beginning, and although he wasn't the best when it came to social skills and kind of like learning to get along with everyone, he always tried his best to keep the group calm and organized. And not only that, but his character was just hilarious in the way that he interacted with everyone, because he really didn't know like what was socially like okay to say sometimes, because he was such a stickler for the rules. And it's really tragic to me because I feel like his lack of social relationship experience was his downfall in a way. And I feel like if he would have had prior experience with losing friendships or being betrayed, then maybe Iwata's death wouldn't have been so like detrimental to him, or at least I feel like he could have moved on from it. It was just really heartbreaking to me because his overly hardworking spirit and like lack of social experience was kind of what like I bonded with him and kind of felt I could relate to with him, and it was all the stuff that I initially loved about him, and in a way to me it really did lead him to his demise, and this was what made me feel like he was my 10th favorite character. Number 9 is Nagisa from another episode, and honestly the way they revealed each of the children's backstories in another episode was just done beautifully in my opinion, and I felt a lot of sympathy for each and every one of the Warriors of Hope, besides Monica of course, but their reasons for hating the adults were just all really validated through like their backstories and when you heard like what they've been going through. And the one that really hit me the hardest by far was Nagisa's, because not only was his backstory tragic and really creative from my point of view, but seeing firsthand how that negatively affected him and how Monica like used that to manipulate him into following her, it just really broke my heart while playing the game. And in the game, you really see that Monica does not give two shits about what happens to Nagisa, but he was just like still willing to die for her because, in my opinion, I think it's because he was never shown like love in his life by his parents. So even though like Monica was obviously like manipulating him and kind of like using that like lack of like knowing what it's like to be loved as like a way to use him and control him, he didn't know the difference because he never felt that. And honestly, I find that really, really sad, and it really made me build a lot of sympathy for him and come to love him as a character. Number 8 is Kyoko Kira, and she is really just such a badass character to me, and it's one of the reasons I really felt like I had to put her on this list. I don't think anybody from the first game would have made it out alive without her help, honestly, and I know some people probably don't like her as much maybe as I do since she doesn't show very much personality. Not like compared to the rest of the students, but to me that made her character all the more interesting. Like in the rare instances she did show like emotion during her free time events, it felt really satisfying to me. It was almost like I worked for that, like I would purposely try to spend time with her because I was like, well, you know, like maybe I can see some of her personality finally. It just kind of made her like a really intriguing character to me. And she really said a lot of like comments or observations that I wanted to point out myself during the game, and she kind of was like I said, really the reason that everyone made it out. Like, Nagi did a lot too, but Kirigiri was like on top of that shit the whole game. And overall, I just really enjoyed having her as the main female protagonist of the first game, and that is why she comes in at number 8. So number 7 on this list is Kuzuryu, and the main reason is because not only was he like entertaining with his like huge temper and his like creative vulgar insults, but he also received probably the most character development to me in Super Danganronpa 2, and he also went through some of the most tragic, if not the most tragic scene of Super Danganronpa 2 as well. He really went from a character who was like selfish and standoffish to a much more mature person who honestly just like wanted to help his friends. And it's just so cute in his free time event too when he tells Hajime he's the first friend he's ever had. And this really, just his whole like character story and his arc in the Super Danganronpa 2 was just really, really well done to me, and it really made me just come to love his character. Number 6 is Hajime, and Hajime was just such a great protagonist in my opinion because he sort of like said and felt everything that I feel like I would have felt if I would have been in his place, and I liked how much of a contrast there was between him and Nagi's character. I really feel like a lot of times in games when they sort of have like a different protagonist for each game in like a series, a lot of times even though they're like different in certain senses, they're still kind of the same type of character. They're like the same like stoic or the same kind of like just really kind-hearted, but I felt like although like Nagi and Hajime share like similar characteristics, they're both like very different and unique characters in their own right, and I really like that about him. And I liked how he really just did not put up with anybody's shit. Like, he really did not put up with Kamaida, like, whenever he would talk about, like, murder and how great it was and how much hope it felt. He would just be kind of like, okay, you're not our friend, please leave. And I guess I just thought it was really funny how he would like react to them. And also, I didn't want to forget to mention that the reveal of how he is and how he became Izuru Kamakura was absolutely insane to me, and it was definitely one of the biggest highlights of Super Danganronpa 2, along with him deciding to save himself and his friends at the end of the game when it just seemed like absolutely impossible to. That was definitely like a huge highlight. It really made me have a lot more respect for his character, and that is why he is number 6 on this list. Number 5 is Nagi from Danganronpa 1, and I know I said that the contrast between him and Hajime was something I really liked about Hajime's character. I didn't want it to seem like saying that I thought Nagi was a bad character at all. I really don't think he is. I love him. He's by far one of my favorite characters. Obviously, he's number 5 on this list. And the reason for this is because of how genuinely nice he is to everyone. I really don't think I would have put up with half the stuff Tagami said to him, and Celeste, and just characters like that. And this made him a really powerful protagonist in the sense to me that because of how genuinely nice he was and how he just saw the best in everybody, I really felt myself rooting for him the whole game. And like especially during the 5th trial when you have to watch everyone he's tried so hard to help and be kind to, and they just like betray him and pretty much, you know, accuse him of doing something he hadn't done, and he still forgives them afterwards. And he even forgave Mizuno like in the 1st trial when she purposely set him up to be framed and killed, and he even refers to her as a friend. So like by far he is just much more kind-hearted than almost any other characters I've seen even outside of Danganronpa, and that just really made me respect him, want to root for him, and in my opinion it made him a really strong protagonist, and number 5 on my top favorite characters list. So number 4 on this list is Mikan Sumiki, and it's sort of funny that she became one of my favorite characters of Danganronpa, and one of the characters I found the most interesting because I initially hated her when I started playing Super Danganronpa 2, and this was because her first impressions I perceived her to be like a very like two-dimensional fan service character. I kind of saw her as that until the 3rd trial came around and we saw her true colors, you know, aka like what Spirit did to her, and it really made me realize there was a lot more to her than I initially thought and just kind of perceived when I started playing the game. And so when I went back and I decided to finish her free time events, I learned a lot more about her, and the more I learned about her, the more I just fell in love with her character, and I realized how creative and interesting and sort of fucked up her character was. And if you guys haven't played her free time events, I really recommend that you do, because it really shows a lot more to her character than is just initially perceived, and that and the reasons above is why she grew to be one of my favorite characters. Next is Toku Sakawa, and she was sort of a character that was similar to Mikan in the way that she had to grow on me over time. I thought she was really funny at first while playing Danganronpa 1, but that was pretty much it. It really wasn't until the very end of the game I decided to finally do like a free time event with her, and I began to find her really interesting once I started doing that. And this leads me to talk about another episode where it was really awesome to see her go from such a low, sad, like self-loathing place to making her first real friend and standing up for herself. And because of this, I would say her character development throughout like the whole like series of Danganronpa is probably my favorite, and it definitely led her to be one of my all-time favorite characters. So number 2 on this list is not surprisingly Chiaki Nanami from Super Danganronpa 2, and I'm sure a lot of you guys were already suspecting she'd be pretty high on this list. Chiaki is a really great character, and she's really well-rounded to me because she has a lot of like the mysterious and like intrigue to her that Kirigiri does, and she also has like the kindness and like the sweet-heartedness of Nagi. And this makes her a really well-rounded character in my opinion. And she's just so darn cute, like I just can't even stand it. She has like a little space hairpin in her head, it's so cute. But all in all, the way she treated the group was really admirable to me. and her relationship with Hajime and how she sort of like encouraged him and everyone else to just do their best. It was amazing, and yet it's so sad to have to see how she affected these characters so much and how upset they were when they thought she had turned their backs on them, when they initially thought she was a traitor. Like, Hajime's face just during that trial is just so heartbreaking, and it was really hard to watch sometimes, but overall she's a very well written and well-rounded character in my opinion, and that is why she is my second favorite character of the series. Number 1 on this list is none other than Nagito Komaeda himself. And I feel like half of you will love me for this, and the other half of you will probably hate me for this, because he's just one of those characters you either love or you hate, and obviously I love him. And I know someone's going to comment or think like, oh my god, you're just such a fangirl, that's the only reason you like him. And I get it, that's a stereotype, and I know a lot of people just think fangirls like him, but that is why I'm going to give you guys strictly reasons relating to how greatly he is written and why I really find his character to be interesting. And honestly, like, the general reason why I liked him so much when I first started playing the game was just because, I'm sure you guys all know, Komaeda's fucking crazy. And it was really just the fact that he was so entertaining, and I don't think he would have been quite as entertaining in like a different game, like maybe Final Fantasy, where it's more of like a serious tone throughout. It was really also how the other characters like responded to him, like how Hajime and like Kazuichi would just be like, this guy is fucking crazy. You know, it was just kind of like he'd enter a room and there would be like an instant conflict, and it was just kind of like really entertaining to watch. And of course, you know, it's awesome to see scenes where everybody's working together, but it's also really fun to see like that conflict that characters like him bring. It was also like the anticipation of like what he was going to do next. When I first started playing the game, I knew I had already heard that he was like, you know, an insane character, but I didn't know exactly what he did or what made him insane until I started playing the game. One of the like most fun parts of Super Danganronpa 2 for me was just like, when is he gonna blow up and what is he gonna do? Because I knew it was just gonna be something super outlandish and crazy, and it was gonna knock me off my feet. And it did. The 5th trial was really, really, really crazy. It was way more than I expected, and it was kind of like that anticipation of like, there's this character here on this island that's just going to blow up. What is he going to do? How is it going to affect everyone else? And that was like really exciting when I was playing the game, and it was something I really looked forward to. But really, the main reason, like the more technical reason of like why I love his character is just the way he's written. I think he's a really, really a creative character. And basically, I'm a very, very big fan of like satire and irony, and he's just pretty much the embodiment of it, because basically they took Nagi's character and took everything that was great about him, everything that encouraged the other classmates and stuff, and just like fucked it up to the point of like making him insane. And it's just so funny to me, and it was like really satisfying in like a weird way. I really think that Kodaka must have just been like laughing his ass off when he came up with Komaeda as a character. But it was just the fact that like even some of the stuff like that really made Nagi kind of like relatable, like he was just like, oh, you know, like I have luck, it's such a stupid, you know, talent to have, but then Komaeda is like a fucking superhero because of his like unbelievable luck. I don't know, it's just really, really funny to me, and it made me just love his character because it's so creative. I would have never thought of like making somebody like that. But of course, obviously for other reasons, his character is kind of emotional. His backstory is pretty sad. It's also very creative. Again, one of the reasons why I like him so much. But that pretty much concludes my list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to leave your own list in the comment section. I'd love to see them. And I know my videos have been sort of irregular lately. I'm really trying to work on making them more regular again. I didn't really anticipate how long it would take to edit this and write all my thoughts down. But I will be sure to keep you guys updated on any V3 or Danganronpa 3 news and updates. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you real soon.